Today, we go one step back. Ryan will share with us about the pre-fill preparations before you sit on the plane. Where I'm very, very grateful that we have Ryan with us as our teacher today. Ryan is a long-term YWAMer with lots of cross-cultural experience. In 2008, he left to Indonesia and he served several years there. In 2013, he transitioned to Thailand, where he also met his future wife and got later married. He worked later on with the Missionary Care Foundations course in Chennai, India. And in 2020, he came back to the Netherlands, where he's leading the member care department for YWAM Heidelberg. And that's around the time when I had the privilege to get to know Ryan. I got to know him as a person who has the heart of a member care provider. He is an excellent and authentic listener, and he has just a solid understanding what people need so that they can thrive on the missions field and that they can be holistically well in the long term. I'm learning a lot from Ryan by what he says and just by the example he models. One thing I personally very much or especially appreciate is just his sense of humor and his creativity. So Ryan, thanks a lot for taking the time, sharing out of the wells of your experience. We very much appreciate that. Let me pray and then I hand it over to you. Father, thank you so much that as our Creator, you know best what we need to thrive and to do well, Father. Father, thank you that you allow us the time to prepare well for the steps you ask us, you call us into. And Father, I pray as Ryan is sharing that you help us to listen. Holy Spirit, we welcome you, that you translate what we hear into our ministry and into our context, Father. In Jesus' name, amen.
Amen. Thank you, Heidi. That is, yeah, that's a good start. If you get so many nice compliments, that is very uplifting. Thank you for that. Yesterday, you went over this this cycle, the missionary life cycle, and in that missionary life cycle, there was the preparation phase, the on-field phase, and the re-entry phase. And I was just wondering, what were some highlights or takeaways from yesterday? And please share that in the group. I would love to hear what you got out of the teaching from Hannes yesterday.
I think that it all takes time, much more time than I think a lot of people let happen, but each phase takes some time and some gentleness and some kindness to yourself and to others.
I like that. Yeah, thank you. Anybody else?
It was just a good reminder. We've done missions for 17 years, but you forget so much until you have a seminar again. And the reminder of the high amount of stress that we go through as a missionary and living in a different culture is really tough.
And I really appreciate the framework that you guys laid out for this. We've seen so much of the details, but have actually never really seen a framework to attach it to. And so that's really, really helpful.
Okay, good to hear. Thank you. Anybody else?
I think I took away that I'm really grateful for our journey that has in many ways been less than ideal in the preparation time, in the orientation time, and in the re-entry time that we had. There are lots of flaws and lots of things that didn't happen according to the book. but God has been faithful, and it was good to be reminded of that.
Okay, thank you, Anna. Anna, could you share one story about the preparation phase? What you know now? What did you learn from that?
We didn't really. I mean, we got married. I was in the Philippines. I met my husband there. We got married in Germany. We were very busy. We were having a full-time job and preparing to leave and getting to know each other. All in, that was a 8 months package. And then we were in a hurry to go to some training in India on the way to Bangladesh. And during our honeymoon, we were filling out applications for this training, and we were in a hurry. And my husband, as a single Filipino missionary, had his support. He had been a YWAM for several years, and I had my support. When we got married, everybody thought, oh, now he married this white rich woman. No more need to support him. So, and we didn't have time to raise support, or, I mean, we didn't took the time also.
Okay.
And so we lived for a while then with a newborn baby on the support that I had as a single woman. It was not so easy.
Yeah, you give already some good examples, Anna. Thank you for sharing that with us. Yeah. One more person, a highlight from yesterday, or something that was a takeaway for you.
Okay, just I just want to say that part of that story was mine as well. So, well, Anna shared. What I took from yesterday was, I just want to re-emphasize the thing that God is faithful, even in the very least ideal situation that we were thrown into. He saved us and carried us through. And what I saw, the pattern from hearing from many testimonies, that those lacks of preparation or even the less ideal reception from the field had challenged those who have experienced less in terms of being facilitated into the field, was challenged to think of how we could do this better for the newcomers. So I think partly, maybe we're still partly part of the pioneers wave, and maybe that was part of the challenge and the calling that we have. What we have now is very many established bases or operating locations, wherein the easy landing is expected, but we do not need to take that for granted, because if those supposedly structures that are supposed to be there are not sustained and personnel are not being put into the structure, it will still crumbles away. So that's what I saw, that sustainability in what's supposed to be established and pass on is important.
Good. Thank you, Leo. Thank you. Yeah, my story, I went in 2008 to Indonesia, so I had to prepare. In Indonesia, I had to learn the language, I had to understand the culture, which is so different than the Dutch culture. I had conflict. Many things happened on the field there in Indonesia as well. And then from Indonesia, I did a transition to Thailand with a whole new language. I thought I knew it. I thought I did all my work already. And they say, Ryan, put Pasat Thai Dai Mai. I didn't even know what they were saying. And I felt such a newbie. I had to start all over again. I had to prove myself. I was statusless. Nobody knew me. Nobody cared what I did before. And then 7 years Thailand, we went back. So we did a re-entry back to Holland. And now I was married with Pau, my wife. She doesn't speak any Dutch. She doesn't understand the culture. She doesn't like potatoes. So we have a big problem in Holland. So she cried many evenings because of the food. It was not Thai food. That re-entering back to my culture where I have changed colors as well. I was a blue guy and I went to Indonesia to a yellow culture and I became green. And then I moved to Thailand and I became a little bit more green. And then I moved back to Holland where they looked at me and they saw my face and they say, hey, that's a blue guy. I was a changed man. I was not blue anymore. I became green, but nobody knew. I was a foreigner in my own country. Seeing many people on the field, many experiences, yeah, it gave me a heart for member care. My position now is I'm leading the member care department at Heidelberg in the Netherlands. And our vision statement is supporting field workers in their calling. I'm not sure if you know, but YWAM, we are decentralized. I wish we would have more authority, but the only thing we can do from Holland is we can support because we are decentralized. Field workers, it's specialized for missionaries. We don't support basketballers. We don't support people out of YWAM. It is the field workers from YWAM that we support, and mostly in their calling. And their calling can be in the preparation phase, but their calling can also be in the on-field phase. People might lose their calling, or they're transitioning, or they lost their passion. How can you bring them back to their calling? But also when you go back to the Netherlands or to your own country, the job is not done. The re-entry, there's still a chapter to be written. You still have a role to play in building the kingdom. So it's about the calling. And we do that in the preparation phase, in the on-field phase, and the re-entry phase. Just an ordinary day in my life, I will share something. I get an email from a girl who's 21 who wants to talk with us, our department, because she's going to New Zealand. She just did her DTS and she felt a call in her DTS to go to New Zealand. Mostly they come because they want to have the tax reduction. So we have a support here in Heidelberg so that Dutch people can have the finances come in and then the givers can get tax reduction. That's why they come. Now I ask them a couple of questions. I would say, for example, share something about your calling. Well, they share something about their calling, why they're called to go. And then I would ask a question, how much budget do you have for every month? How much support do you have? Yeah, about 200 euros. Oh, the alarm bells, they ring already. Oh, New Zealand is not a very cheap country. How are they insured? Do they have things in, are they going to learn the language? All these kind of bells are ringing with me. Are you connected with a church? No, I came to faith. I did a DTS and I've no church at all. Do you have a support team around you? No, no support team at all. When are you leaving? I'm leaving on Saturday. All the alarm bells ring and I'm thinking, okay, how are we going to make this work? I would love to support, but this is the reality. Most YWAMers, they go with a lot of faith, but maybe not a lot of wisdom. So this is really something we should emphasize on. We should make this known that people need to prepare. Just a reminder, this is YWAM, to know God and to make him known. Now, yeah, we also have a logo, and that logo represents you. It's me. It's the girl that wants to go to New Zealand. Now, many people, they think of member care like an ambulance. So we come with high sirens, a lot of noises, because it's too late. They already have fallen, they are hurt, it's not going well, and then we are the ambulance. But I think, no, member care is not the ambulance. We should be the fence so that they do not fall. A fence around them so that they will not fall. Will they fall? Probably. A lot of challenges in mission. But can we create a fence around them so that they will not fall? The best fence for me, in my experience, what I have and the people that come, the best fence but what I can think of is preparation. Preparation is the best fence. Prepare well. They say things like, if you fail to plan, you plan to fail. If you fail to plan, you plan to fail. And we do that every day. We prepare. For example, if I go for a run, I warm up. I do some stretches. I prepare my body for something that is coming. For this teaching, I need to prepare. I need to study. I prayed. I asked God, oh God, help me, because I didn't feel so prepared. But if you are preparing well, it helps you in your teaching. But also, if you travel, you pack your bag, you put food in a little basket so that you are prepared when you go. If you do not prepare, you pay later. If you do not prepare, you pray later. And what it causes, if you do not prepare well, it causes stress. This stress ball, maybe it was shown yesterday. This is stress. And then you go back to a normal state. That's healthy, that's normal, you grow and learn. But if there's too much stress, and I can guarantee you that a missionary has a lot of stress, it will be under tension for a long time. Burnout will happen. People lose their passion, and they have to go back to a normal state. Not preparing means a lot of stress. A quote you can write down would be this: it is better to prepare and prevent than to repair and repent. It is better to prepare and prevent than to repair and repent. Anybody, what are your thoughts when you hear this quote?
I think it's very catchy.
Okay, what is catchy for you, Eric?
I mean, the word play, but it sounds very logical and very true as well.
Good. Yeah, it's not rocket science. That's true, Eric. When I was preparing this as well, I thought, oh yeah, this is not rocket science. It's very logical. But unfortunately, in practice, it does not always happen.
I have a thought.
Yeah.
We were with a different organization before YWAM, and we had really good training on support raising and communication. And so now that we're here, we're realizing that hardly anyone has any idea how to raise support. And that needs to be done in the beginning. But we see a lot of people go, oh, I'm going to do it while I'm here. And I'm like, oh, that's prepare and prevent. Like, wow.
Yeah. I'm so with you. It's Deb, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, so with you. Happens on a weekly basis, this. Thank you for sharing that. Any other thoughts?
I think I would say I've never, well, maybe not never, but I did not see this modeled in my time in YWAM in certain bases. Some bases do it better than others, that's for sure. But I think the ones that I've majority been in didn't model this at all. It was actually the reverse and very much promoted. So, and yeah, it's funny, like thinking of this, I'm like, oh, that makes sense, but I have been trained otherwise. And I know that it would be very hard to bring something like that to, you know, even the people that I minister to here through member care. It's like, yeah, that doesn't get through. Like it's almost completely rejected, but not quite. But like, yeah, you know what I mean.
Yeah, Gillian, stay on.
Sure.
How does it make you feel?
I think because I've been trained otherwise, there is a definite hesitation of like, oh, but where's the faith in that? What opportunities am I going to miss if I spend so much time preparing? I think a lot of, younger people would say, well, maybe I'll lose my calling. Maybe I'll forget why God called me. Which I think for some people, if it's really true, maybe it won't be forgotten. But yeah, there's a real, I think, fear in that something could be lost.
Yeah, yeah. Anybody else?
Yeah, I was just thinking, I think there are exceptions. When I joined YWAM, I didn't know what I was joining. I just had a clear call to missions. I was so passionate. And it wasn't until a month before I joined YWAM that I found out it was a faith mission. So, but God was so, I mean, things just worked out fine afterwards. But I also know myself, I think had I known before that it was a faith mission and I would have had to raise support, I might not have gone. I don't know. My personality is such that I think God likes to just shove me into something, into the water, and then he starts moving and explaining. So yeah. So I come from the generation where this other lady was talking about, where we're told to take a step of faith, and it did work. But I think preparing and preventing is better. It's like better to be safe than sorry.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's a nice, we're going to talk about something as well, like faith and a combination of something. But it's a good point. Thank you for sharing it. And I do think that Peter also wanted to share something.
Yeah, I was thinking about the start of, because when we did our DTS 1984, there was also an SOE, School of Evangelism, that time. I haven't heard very much about those, but I was told that when YWAM started, you had this School of Evangelism to go out and evangelize, get the youth together and make those waves of youth going out, evangelizing. And then they realized, they're not really prepared for this. We need to make them disciples first before they go. So then they started the discipling training school. And I think the history of YWAM is go and do it, so to say. Don't put too much effort on preparing, and then you get those, oh, we need to think a bit more.
Thank you, Peter. Yeah, thank you. Yeah. Now, maybe you have seen this before. It's a very simple chart, but for me it makes a lot of sense, and I love to share about it. It is how growth happens. How do people grow? And on one hand, the vertical one is a challenge. Now, many people, they grow because of a challenge. For example, I was in grade 1 of my sport instructor teaching that I did. And then the lady said, oh, if you work like this, I don't think you will make it. And that sentence stayed in me, like, oh, she thinks that I will not make it. That was such a challenge for me. And I proved her wrong. I worked so hard because of that challenge that I got. And that's why I finished my first year becoming a sport instructor. It's the same for my wife. If I tell my wife, hey, Pau, this you cannot do. Oh, her hair goes up and she gets so excited. Like, I will prove you, Ryan, that I can do it. So if I give her a challenge, she will get so excited to do it. She will go for it. So she will do research. A story, for example, I taught her to play chess. And in the beginning, I won all my games because I was the teacher. But she saw that as a challenge. So she went on YouTube to look to all these training videos. Then she put the app on her phone and she played chess. And after 3 months, she beat me so bad. And now I have no chance at all. It's because of a challenge. The other side of the challenge is support. And if there is a challenge and if there is support, people grow. It's wonderful. Now, what happens when there's only a challenge? Only a challenge. There's no support, there's no help, there are no resources, there's no preparation, nobody's there to tell you what to do. Most people, when challenges add up, they give up, or they get so stressed that they do not know what to do, they get burned out, and they go home. So too much challenge, you give up. The thing is also true. If there's only support and no challenge, you create babies. They will keep on drinking milk. They will never stand up and walk. If there's only support, they also don't grow. But you grow if there is challenge and there is support. Now, the biggest lack for, in my perspective, and you might agree or not agree, in YWAM is the horizontal bar. It's support. And the whole thing this afternoon is focused on support in the preparation phase. But later on, in the on-field phase, in the re-entry phase, what can you do as a support so that they stay healthy, efficient, and resilient, full with life? That's what we want, so that the kingdom can be built. I have a 15-minute breakout for you. And it says 12 minutes, but actually it's 15 minutes. I want you to share in groups of 3, what are some challenges you have experienced as a missionary? And what would you have done differently in your preparation if you could turn back time? Don't give bullet points. Give me or give each other real stories. Be open, be vulnerable, tell the truth, share the whole story. You have 15 minutes. So not like, oh, this, but tell the real story so that we get the heart of what is needed. So if we know the challenges, we can see, okay, this is what we can do as support. If we know the challenges, then we know what to give as support. So 15 minutes, go in your breakout groups. If you could go back in time, knowing all the challenges that you have faced in your life, in your missionary journey, what would you have done differently? I would love to hear some stories.
Maybe build better relationship with my local church.
Okay. Could you explain why? Why would you do that differently?
Because of the pastoral support is really important when you are a missionary on field. And the financial side too. And to encourage the next generation to open the eyes to the missionary leaders too. It's like make them to stay in contact with this view too.
Beautiful. Thank you, Alessandra. Christina, if you could go back in time, what would you do differently?
Well, I think I would like to prepare more on the support, before going to the field, because like you said, better be prepared than panic. Yeah, I believe that, if we prepare enough with the church before we go to the field, it can help the missionary to be more focused on the ministry, rather than, and also bearing in mind that already the missionary is going to be stressed with the new culture, language. There's so many stress waiting for us on the mission field when we're new, and having to worry about the finance as well, I think it's better if we can work that well together with the church and other supporters maybe, and then, go to the mission field. Yeah, if I could do that, but then I would have done this. Yes.
Very good. Very good. Thank you, Christina. Yeah.
Welcome.
And now Heidi and Rebecca, both. I would like to hear you both. What would you do differently?
Yeah, Heidi? I think I didn't have like very specific stories, but one thing was maybe knowing a bit more about fundraising, learning a bit more about fundraising, and getting supporters before I full-time went into YWAM. I think that's something that I would have maybe done different if I would have done it again today.
Yeah, I think for me, I would also maybe have tried to build more relationship to people within the church, like nurturing those relationships. mostly also because my church comes from a missionary organization where they already have their own missionaries. And so it's hard to be sent out in a way by that church. But if you invest in those relationships, you have more of a broader support team, and also that can support you both in prayer and financially. And yeah.
Good, perfect. Good answers, good answers. Yeah, sometimes you look back at your what ifs and you regret it. You might like, I missed out. On the other hand, your what ifs, your insights on this question can be a huge golden lump for the next generation. It can be something that you pass on. It can be something that you reorganize the base, or you add a value, or you add a policy. Heidelberg never started with a policy to have financial support. And then we said, if you now want to become staff, you have to have at least 600 euros. And this year we even added to 800 euros. Why? Because we want people to be financially stressless, to not have that stress on top of all the stresses that they have. And sometimes it only takes one policy or one step at a time, one decision as a base. But what if we make 10 good decisions in the coming 10 years? What would be the effect of that? You would be having a healthier base, small steps. Good. There are many things that is said by YWAM. One of them I heard lately. It said, YWAM, God loves you and we have a plan for your life. God loves you and we have a plan for your life. The first thing that I want to talk about is calling. Calling. If people come to you and they say, I would like to go, a very good start would be to ask them, can you tell me the story? Why are you going? What is the story of your calling? And listen very, very well what they are saying. I read this book. It says, start with the why. If a person comes to you and says, yeah, I want to go to New Zealand, for example, and I ask them, why are you going? I said, yeah, I had another student and she goes to New Zealand. And I thought, oh, why not? Let's go to New Zealand as well. Then you might think, okay, this person might want to go to for an adventure, but not per se calling. And I would say those with a strong calling are the ones that make it. The moment if their calling is loose, they do not really know where to go, those are the ones that return in 2 years. What you can do as a member care worker is you can walk alongside them and twist and tweak and ask questions so that their calling get more volume, it becomes more clear. Vision is a picture of the future which creates passion. So vision, it creates a picture of the future which creates passion. And some people need a little bit of help in their calling. They need a little bit of help to get the picture very clear. But if it's clear, they know where to go. They know what to do. And when time gets tough, they can hold on to the vision because this is what God called me to do. So I am able to do it, or I need help or whatever. But the moment the picture is not clear, the calling is not clear, it gets very loose and many people return, which is a pity. Also, if you do not know really your clear picture, many YWAM bases are need driven. Because there is a need, they will ask you, hey, can you do this? But that might not be your calling, but you do it anyway because God loves you and we have a plan for your life. And before you know it, you are doing all kinds of things, good things, but maybe not your calling. And that might be very dangerous because you try to do things for 2 years in willpower because somebody asked you to do it, but there's no passion, there's no calling. Wah, 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 wah. It will collapse and then they will come to me, which I do not want to be because I don't want to be the ambulance. Why does that happen? Maybe you heard about it. There's this, maybe you also only have 2 options. It's either no or it is go. So either you do not go or you go. And many times people have such a passion or an adventure heart, and they want to go, a lot of faith, and they don't see anything anymore. They only want to go. But there are two other options. The first one is slow down. Yeah, that's an option as well. Doesn't mean that you're not going, but you're slowing down. This happened to me. I was like a bouncing ball. I was high on calling. I had a lot of faith. I was so passionate. I wanted to go to Indonesia, where my friend asked me, hey, Ryan, you want to go. I see your faith, but slow down. God does not want you to run with him. He wants you to walk with him. Slow down. Slow down. Another option is to grow. I had a girl here at the base, really wanted to come as a staff, but just was not ready. Grow. First, come for a school, then go for another. And if the growth is there, then you can become staff. Grow is also an option. Okay. Then I would like to show a video. These are my friends, Seth and Lisette and Yunoa, their little one. And we talked about their calling. And we looked at the why, and to really think of how can I present my why? How can I present my calling? And the clearer it is for you, the clearer it is you can communicate to others. And they made a video, and listen to this video, see how they respond, explaining their calling. And then we're going to talk about it.
Ja. Hoi, wij zijn Seth en Lisette en we willen je graag wat vertellen, namelijk dat wij in september hopen te verhuizen naar Sicilië.
Sicilië is een eiland onder Italië en veel vluchtelingen vluchten hierheen. De reden dat ze hierheen vluchten is vanwege de politieke situatie in een land, vanwege armoede of vanwege oorlog. Ze hebben alles achter zich gelaten en hebben geriskeerd om daarheen te komen. Door een zee van zand en van water. En hebben hun leven gewaagd. En wij willen daarheen gaan om hen te dienen en lief te hebben. We hebben het idee dat God ons daarheen leidt om daar samen ons aan te sluiten bij een team van Jeugd met een Opdracht.
Wat mij heel erg aanspreekt is dat ze vanaf september vrouwen en kinderen willen opvangen. Veel vrouwen en kinderen zijn alleen gevlucht. Hebben onderweg heel veel meegemaakt, zijn in handen geweest van mensenhandelaren. Dus ik vind het heel erg mooi dat wij hun een veilige plek kunnen bieden. Want ze zijn gewoon de meest kwetsbare. En ja, we willen ze gewoon graag helpen, hun lief hebben en laten weten dat ze waardevol zijn.
Wat mij daarnaast aanspreekt is dat veel van deze mensen uit gesloten landen komen. Sommigen hebben nog nooit over Jezus gehoord. En wij willen ze vertellen over Jezus. En misschien wel voor de eerste keer dat ze dat kunnen horen. En daarnaast denken zij op een christelijk continent te komen. Maar vaak de eerste boodschap die ze ontvangen is, jij bent niet welkom hier. En wij willen ze vertellen, jij bent welkom. Je bent welkom misschien niet in dit land of op dit continent, maar je bent welkom in ons hart, maar bovenal in Gods hart.
Ja, dus als alles lukt, hopen we daar in september heen te gaan. Wil je op de hoogte blijven, stuur ons dan even een berichtje. En we zouden het natuurlijk heel erg waarderen als je met ons mee wilt bidden.
Doei!
Doei!
Doeg! You know what I'm saying? Doei!
What did you hear? What did you see? Give me some feedback.
The purpose of their going there, the need, that was well presented, so people can see that there is truly a need, and that would probably stir the hearts of some people to give financially and in prayer. Mm-hmm. The purpose and the need were very clear, and the passion in their own hearts.
Yeah. Do you remember something that he said or she said?
The last part, that they have probably not heard about Jesus. They come from closed countries. So there's also the part of helping the women and children because of their hardship. So there's the compassion and evangelism. It was very clear. Compassion, evangelism, needs. Yeah.
Beautiful. Thank you. Anybody else?
They were looking for relationship. So they said, if this is something that you're interested in, please message us. Mm-hmm. So I think that's important in raising funds and casting a vision. you invite others along with you on your journey. Again, they were focused on, they shared the vision of what they wanted to do and asked people to join them, which is pretty much basic fundraising. So.
Right. Yeah. Thank you. Yeah, and it was 1 minute and 20 seconds, I believe. So very short. One thing that really struck me is they hear you are not welcome. And I want them to know that you are welcome with us. You are more than welcome. I'm not sure if you know the situation, but in Holland, we also have a lot of refugees. They are now in Ter Apel. And what the people in the neighborhood is sharing is you are not welcome. They throw eggs, they scream, it's horrible. And we as Dutchies, we say, you are not welcome. And they are completely different. They say, you are so welcome. And we want to be there for you. The better you present your calling, the easier it would be for people to give or to support, because it's very clear. Many times I see newsletters where they just ask or they just say, I'm going to do this, 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 this. It's only focused on the what. But the why is so much important. I think if people understand the why, the what is not so important anymore. It is, okay, I understand this is your calling. This is what God wants to do. I want to support. I want to help financially, in a team or whatever that might be. Yeah. The next one, we're going to go to, so we had calling and make your calling very clear. And I would say those with a clear calling, those are the ones that will make it. The second one, I think what do you guys see?
I think we see Moses and was it Joshua and someone else who was
Aaron and her then?
Yeah, maybe something like that.
Thank you. Yeah, it is Exodus 17. Yeah, you have Aaron and her. The first thing what they do is they put a rock under his bottom so that there is support, so that he can sit. And on one side there's her, and the other side there is Aaron. And actually from 4 points he gets support. Aaron, her, the rock under his bottom, and also from the Lord, because the moment he raises his hands, the Israelites are winning. And the moment he doesn't have the strength anymore, they are losing. And to illustrate this would be a support team. A support team. And I would say, I heard this phrase as well, those with a support team around them, those are the ones that make it. Do you have support from multiple sides around you? As a member care worker, it's something you have to ask. Where does your support come from? Who is around you? Who is walking alongside? And maybe you know this, this proverb. If you want to go fast, you go alone. But if you want to go far, you go together. If your calling is short term, okay, maybe you don't need so much support around you. But if you are called for long term, you want to go far, you have to go together. Now, when I was in Africa, they said, yeah, this is an African proverb. But then I was in Mongolia and they said, no, this is a Mongolian proverb. And then I was in India, said, no, this is an Indian proverb. So I do not know where the proverb comes from. The most important is that it's true. If you want to go far, you go together. Who of you have a support team around you? And share something about it.
Well, I don't want to talk all the time, but yes, I do have a support team, a very good support team, different people, even different groups. We have split them into WhatsApp groups. I have various WhatsApp groups for prayer, for sharing, for, and I find it absolutely essential.
Okay.
To be able to express what I'm going through, to get their feedback. And it's always good to have a different perspective from a different person. And so I have people from different countries even. I don't think I would do it without a support team.
Okay. What are some tasks that your support team does for you?
I would say praying, encouraging, advising. The encouraging and the good advice, and some of them financially.
You said the last one?
Financially, some of them it's finances, they just love giving. Others always have a listening ear, and a lot of the encouragements. So I can be very open in my conversations and newsletters. Yeah.
Okay, wonderful.
Yeah.
Would you have made it without a support team if you look back?
I don't think so. I don't think so. My first experience in YWAM Austria, I would have made it because it was a very strong community, loving community. But afterwards in other different mission spaces, it was more people living in their own apartments. At that point, you need a support team. When you're living in a community base, you have the support. But once you're outside of the YWAM based community, you need the support.
Yeah, that's so true. Yeah, if you live in a base, there's probably personnel and they will help you. If the personnel is wonderful, you have great help. But it's not all over the world the same. Sometimes there's even a lack of support. Anybody else who has a support team around you?
When we first went to Bangladesh, we didn't have a support team. It was just our small fellowship in Germany, and we thought we are all friends and we all love each other, and that's enough. And then we stayed away for about 12 years, and that's a long time to keep close relationship with a large group of people. So this time, when we came here again for 6 months ago, we asked a few friends from that church to be our basis team or our basic support team. And they meet and they call us. It feels different.
Beautiful. Thank you, Anna. Yeah. And one of the things that we do when people come to our office is we do talk about a support team. And then the missionary, they think, oh, why do I need a support team? Or they read it in a book and they say, I need a support team. And then they will ask people, can you be in our support team? Now, guess what? The people will ask, why do you need me? What do you want me to do? How much time does it cost me? What do I get from it? What do you want me to do? Why did you ask me? And the missionary does not know because they have no experience of it. But this is, I think, really good if a member care worker will provide those information to the missionary first, but also to the home front team. And I even think, and that's what we do, we have a morning where we train the home front team. What can they expect? What is coming? How can they support? Because they have no idea. We think that everybody immediately knows everything, but it's not true. People have no idea what the support could be. They need to have examples. They need to have little models to see, okay, this is what I can do. So a training of a home front would be very, very beneficial. We're going to talk about what a home front can do after the break. But for now, are there any questions till this part? Otherwise, we go into a break, but feel free if there's a question. Good. The first 1.5 hours, we talked about challenge and support. A lot of challenges. You heard about it from Hannah's yesterday as well. But probably you experienced it as well. So many challenges as a missionary that is on your plate. Sometimes I feel like this guy turning these plates and trying to make it all work, because there's so much that we have to be able to do. So there's a lot of support needed. The first one, if as a member care worker or provider, it would be good to start with calling, to divine it, how do you call it, that they describe it, that they can say it in 1 sentence, that they can say it in 5 minutes, that they can teach about it in an hour, that it's really that they know the why, that they know their calling and why they do things, so that they will continue because they hold on to that picture, which creates passion. And then, of course, you need a support team like Moses. He had Aaron and Hur around him, a stone, a rock under him, and also God, of course, who helped him. So he had support from 4 angles. Now I'm going to give you 6 angles of support that you could look for a home front team. So these are 6 things that a home front team could do for you so that you have support and that you do not have to do it alone. The first one is practical. When I came back, or almost in all transitions, I needed 3 things. I needed time to adjust, time to breathe, I need time. The other thing that I needed was no responsibilities, because the responsibilities in a transition gave me a lot of stress. And the third one is money. You need money in a transition. When I moved from Indonesia to Thailand, I needed to start all over. A new bed, a new blanket, new things for the kitchen. You need money. So practically, if people leave, they need a good large sum of money for them to make it on the other side. So practically, people can help you fundraise. Maybe a fundraiser, a sponsor walk, selling a cake in your church, selling something so that you have this large sum of money. But practically, it can also mean if I go on furlough, you need somebody to pick you up from the airport. You might need a car, at least if you want to travel in your country when you go on furlough, you need a car. You need some extra money. You need a place to stay. Where did I stay when I went on furlough? So my church helped me, so my support team helped me to find a place. So you need practical support. You also need emotional support. My home front committee or my support team, they saw and listened to my story and knew, okay, Ryan is under stress. A lot of things happened. So they sent me to Le Roger to do a debrief. That was very, very helpful for me. 15 hours I could talk and share my losses and the crises and the criticism and the change and the concerns that I had. Very helpful. I needed emotional support. If I didn't do it, I would have quit. Financially, as a missionary, you almost need to be an all-rounder. You need to be good with kids. You need to share your testimony. You need to preach. You need to sing a song. You need to play the piano. You need to play the guitar. You need to do some fundraising as well. And then you have to learn another language as well and be able to do groceries in a language you don't speak. You need to do all these things. But one of them is finance, fundraising. That is a whole profession in itself. I might be good with money, but how do I communicate? How do I raise funds? That's a whole new level. Some people might be able to do it, but some struggle. It's very, very difficult. You need some help financially, that people help you to fundraise. You also need prayer. We all know this, but I have a prayer group. When I'm at an immigration office and I need a visa and I forgot my paper and there are struggles, I will send a video in my prayer group, and 45 people, if they open up, they know that I need prayer. And I send them a video, say, please pray for me. It helped me in so many occasions. Also leadership. So if you have a support team, somebody needs to take the lead. Somebody needs to take initiative. Let the support team come together, initiate a talk or a meeting. So you need a leader. And the other one is communication. When I'm in Indonesia, how do the people in my church know what's going on? So from my support group, somebody presents, shows a video, asks permission for the church. Can Ryan share his update or his testimony, or communicate that the service will be focused on mission? So you need communication support. Any thoughts? Would it help you if you think about it? Oh, I had communication support, prayer support, practically, emotionally, financially, leadership. What would make it? What would be the difference? Sorry, what would be the difference if you have from all these angles you have support? Just dream out loud. Maybe you don't have it, but what would be different if you have these supports in line? Just open your mic and share.
I'm sorry, Ryan, this isn't an idea. I'm just wondering if you could elaborate just a little bit more on the leadership aspect.
Yeah, I don't know if you ever joined a group, for example, intercession. We do that on Thursday. And you have all the people that are waiting for the leader to step up, but there is no leader. And then everybody waits and waits and waits because nobody takes initiative to start or to explain or to move. So you need a leader also in your support group that initiate coming together, initiate an action, initiate a fundraiser, initiate support from the church. Does that make sense? So somebody that takes the lead, let me say it like that. But what will be different if you have these 6 supports in your ministry? What will be different?
I mean, just kind of spontaneous. I think it will produce a lot of, I guess, safety, or yeah, a feeling of a sense of being taken care of, or like have your kind of, you know, yeah, seatbelt is on and other things also to kind of, well, I guess a good setup, you know.
Yeah, a good setup. I like your word safety, because what if the missionary feels safe? How would he function? How would life look like if he feels safe, if he feels supported? Would be there the difference?
Probably much less stress, I guess.
Perfect. Yeah.
Hi. When you said the communication, one thing that really stood out to me is like you have that point person in your support group that you communicate with, you send the updates to, you send the emails to, and then they send it out to the church and they say, hey, Ryan is sent out an update. Here is his stuff. Here's how we can support him. That is when I was full-time YWAM, I had someone who was, hey, Esther's doing this. She has done all that she can. We got to make up the difference. They stood up and stood in the gap for me. And I was always fully funded when I had someone standing up and saying, hey, let's do this. Let's pray for her. How can we support her? And just having that communication piece of someone other than you, because it feels awkward to be like saying, oh, this is what I'm doing. This is how much money I need. Give me. But when someone else is doing that for you, that communication piece and that leadership of stepping up, I think that's just like so powerful.
Yeah, thank you, Esther. Yeah, I totally agree. It's so difficult for me to ask money for myself. But if somebody from my support team does it, oh my, the burden is gone. I feel 10 kilos lighter. And for them, it's not so difficult because they are not asking it for themselves. They're asking it for me. And that's their role as well. Yeah, wonderful, Esther. Thank you. Yeah. Anybody else?
No, I think it's great to have a support team. And I mean, I'm in missions for 20 years and it's just so good to always know where to go to when I have a need. My situation is a bit different because my family is supporting me. And so that is a very familiar place to go. Let's put it this way.
So you feel that support from your family?
From my family, yes.
Yeah, perfect.
Like they're my main financial supporters and place where to go. It's like I'm from a big family or a bigger family, so yeah.
Perfect. Yeah, that's wonderful to hear. I became a believer from a non-Christian family, so my family is not supportive. The only one that really was supportive was my mom, and my mom passed away. And she was also, I know God is my safety net, but my mom was my safety net. If everything would turn out bad, I could go always to my mom. I knew that she would give me 50 euros for the gas, or 70 euros for food. Now not having my mom is very, very difficult. But that's where my support team comes in. I still can share my needs. I still feel the support. I still do not have to do it by myself because I have a group around me that helps me and supports me, which is, it makes all the difference. Otherwise, yeah, I would not have made it. Let me say it like that.
I think it sounds great to have a support team. I don't have, but it's almost like having a lawyer that is speaking on your behalf. And I think it's, yeah, all these things that you have been sharing with us seems, yeah, it's a good system, and it makes it more sustainable being in the missions.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, yeah. Yeah, and sometimes it's confronting as well, that you think, oh my, I don't have that, or I wish I had done some fundraising, but now I'm here. But even the little changes can have a huge impact, in the rest of your missionary career, because it is a career. It is, something you chose to do, your calling. Now, we looked at this schedule, challenge and growth, and it comes from support. I want you to introduce a friend of mine who is going to Mozambique. His name is Marcel. He did a DTS. He's great with kids. You can see that in the picture as well. And he wants to go to Mozambique. And in November, he is going. I will not say anything else, but a guy like that is too valuable to lose. Marcel is too valuable to lose. He's willing to give up his job. He's willing to say goodbye to his family, to his friends, to his church, to everything that is familiar to him, his food, the weather, the biking, everything he loves from Holland. He's willing to let that go to Mozambique and be there with the children. That is awesome. That is so special. How many people like that do we know in our lives that are willing to give up everything, sacrifice everything they have to go? That's why he's too valuable to lose. Now, in your group, I would like you to role play as a member care worker. So Marcel is coming to you, and this is a real person. He's here doing the fundraising course, a fundraising course here at Heidelberg. He is real, and he is going in November to Mozambique. So somebody of you have to pretend that you are Marcel, and the other two people are member care workers. What questions will you ask? How would you listen to him? What does he have in place? What advice would you give? Where would you say go? Where would you say no? Where would you say slow? Where would you say grow? And in your toolbox, you probably had this before. There are two powerful tools. The one is the question. Ask an open question, not a closed question. Then you get yes or no. You don't get a lot of information. Ask an open question. And the other tool is a very simple one, is your ear. Listen. Listen. Listen to red flags. Listen what he's saying. Does he have a support team? How is his finances? Now you can ask all these questions and use your ear. So Marcel, the one who role plays Marcel, really can pretend. You can make the story as crazy as you want. You might have something in place or might nothing in place, but the member care workers have to elicit and ask for information so that they can help you on his way to Mozambique. Yeah? Then I hope you will have a wonderful time practicing, because that's why we're here. 12 minutes, no, let's make 15 minutes in groups of 3. Let's go. I hope that was helpful. I'm always thinking if I want to learn how to swim, I will not learn it from a book, or if a teacher teaches me how to swim and does like this, I need to jump in the water. So hopefully this was a little bit like that experience, learning how to swim, how to be a member care worker, what questions do you ask, but share what were some things that went well, what was difficult for you, Where were some obstacles in the whole process? Share a little bit of your experience or something that you experienced or learned or thought was helpful.
Hi, everyone. So our Marcel, he had a pretty good time frame planned out. He wanted to still spend Christmas with his family and then hope to get to Mozambique by January. So we thought that was helpful because we could kind of walk with him until then, and by maybe December see just where he is in this process, if he needs more time or if he's getting his bases covered well. And he also had a pastor who was aware of the need to communicate his vision and who promised to help him to put together a PowerPoint, some kind of presentation, maybe a video to do that. So we really, I mean, he's full of excitement, right, to go work with the kids. So one question that we asked him was about his personality, whether he's introverted, extroverted, how he thinks he will handle that, just being surrounded by kids, basically 24/7. And
why did you ask that question, Manuel? I think it's great, but why did you ask that?
It actually wasn't me who asked the question, but I do think it was a very good, relevant question, because it will just help Marcel to get a feel for what he's getting himself into. You know, oftentimes you imagine things one way, and then when you're there, especially in a different culture, right, where you're already like at a certain stress level, where you're already outside of your comfort zone, then I think that might hit him so much harder. For him to kind of prepare himself for that, and maybe even to think again, you know, and to be like, okay, is this really the right place for me? Or do I need to create some kind of a, maybe already set some boundaries, maybe already say, okay, I'm coming, but I'll be able to work, I don't know, 4 or 5 days a week. Just see what he needs to think in those terms, and maybe communicate with the team that's there.
Perfect. Good. Yeah. Don't be afraid to test their calling a bit, or to ask some difficult questions. If they cannot answer and they will give up immediately, there you know, is that true calling or not? If they're willing to go for it, if they want to overcome the obstacle that is there, then you know, okay, these people are ready. So don't be afraid to test a bit, to ask difficult questions. It's good for them. It makes them think, especially when they're younger. Yeah. Anybody else?
Yeah. It was challenging talking to someone who's pretending to be someone else, because I didn't feel like it was easy to go as deep as I would have liked to go. And yeah, I mentioned this in our group too, but also if I for sure would have liked to prepare questions beforehand if this was something I was sitting down to do with someone. But I think one thing we talked about was as they were answering, I was kind of just taking mental notes and then listing, oh, these are all of the things that you're saying that you're wanting to do. And so how are you practically going to do these? How in that are you going to practically prepare before departure? And so just to summarize and rephrase things, which that I found helpful. But yeah, and in finding questions, I found a list of the practical support and the emotional, all of those were very helpful in coming up with questions on the spot.
Yeah, I like it also that you say, as a member care provider, I would like to have prepared myself a bit before I would have this talk, which is a great insight. So prepare your questions, and we're going to do that the last exercise as well. But great, Johanna, wonderful.
It was good. I was the Marcel, and honestly, many flashbacks to many conversations I've had. But no, I was with Manuel, and I really liked the questions. Like they said, are you an extrovert or introvert? And really poking at the calling, is this solid? Where does this come from? And also to be able to say in a comforting way, almost we can reassess. I think there's very much that in my experience with people, at least, it's very much a no or go. Like you said, it's a no or go. There is no middle ground. There is no third option. And if there is any sort of even like the hint or a slight scent of no, it's very crushing. But just like to say like, hey, we can reassess. You don't have to like dive in crazy, and to be very clear with a person, hey, I'm for you. Like I hear your calling. This is great. What you want to do is great. But hey, don't worry if you haven't made all the money by January, we can, or December, we can reassess, we can make a new plan. Like, yeah, to get to really show that there is not just A and B, there's C and D, you know, there, like it's gonna be okay. But yeah, I think, yeah, it was really cool, just some of the questions that they were asking. And the way it was asked as well, I think is really helpful of like, I am on your team and it's going to be okay. And I believe that this is what you want. So I think for me as a member care person, I think I need to work on being a little bit more poke at the calling and okay, why are you doing this? But yeah, I appreciated even just hearing, yeah, Emmanuel mentioned like why don't you just do a test run, like a 3-month test run? See if you like the place, see if what your budget is like, and then come back like, wow, what wisdom is often not spoken. So that was my experience.
Yeah, wonderful. Yeah, I like it also, Gillian, that you shared this. There needs to be this balance with encouraging, and on the other hand, also be realistic and say the points that they need to pay attention to, but not to bring them down and I'm not gonna go anymore. That's not what you want. You want them to go, but you want to have them go with a healthy, good preparation with the support team around them. Great, wonderful. Anybody else? Sure. I love your insights.
We had a fun time actually, because our Marcel was pretending to be very naive, and so we had to kind of ask a lot of questions. So she wanted to go to Mozambique and play with kids and work with kids. Had never been there before. Had no support, neither spiritual leadership support, no communication, no finances. She wanted to go quite soon in November. So we also suggested going first for a short-term trip just to see. She also had no contacts there. So we suggested going on a short-term trip, connecting with people and encouraging her to share with her church. But it was fun. She was acting a very good Marcel actor of a young missionary, not really prepared.
Mm-hmm. Beautiful.
So we had a fun time.
Thank you. Yeah, all the things that you shared, it's also things that we did as an office. So he went on a short-term mission trip again to really see, am I really called to do this? He is actually now in the fundraising course from Terry Sherman. I will talk about it a little bit later, but to raise support. I, as the member care provider from Heidelberg, has gone to his church to explain with the elders how YWAM functions, that we are decentralized, who is responsible, can you point to me or to Marcel or to Mozambique or to YWAM in general. So I explained these things. Then he collected a couple of people for a team around him. And I went there for coffee, and a whole morning we spent on tasks, who is doing what, and helping him to raise support as well. And that's what we're gonna do right now. We're gonna go to a section that is called, fundraising. So, sorry, I cut it off a little bit in the middle. But 71% leaves the mission field for preventable reasons. 71% leaves the mission field for preventable reasons. I hope it shocks you. 47 of field workers, they return within 5 years. I was efficient after 5 years in Indonesia. And then I was ready to really do some good stuff. Imagine, then you return. So you're finally functional, and then you return. 12,000 workers come back every year from all mission organizations. 12,000. They are too valuable to lose. Now, fundraising is a huge part of it. A couple of reasons why people return, or preventable reasons. One of them is a lack of calling. We talked about it. They don't really sense that calling anymore, and they return. The number two, I think it's in general, it's a lack of support. They just don't have resources. They don't have support. They don't have any help. Yeah, you name it, with raising children, with bringing your children to a school, finance. It can be anything. There's no support. And a very normal one is no money. There is just no money. You cannot afford things, or your staff fees need to be paid, or your rent needs to be paid, but it's not there. Can you imagine? I'm not sure if you ever experienced financial stress, but on top of learning a language, on top of learning a new culture, on top of having conflict with your leader, on top of that you have a group that is a South Korean, a person from Nigeria, you from Germany, and somebody from America. There's already so much stress on your plate. Can you imagine if you add financial stress on top of that? It is something on your shoulder that does not leave. After 5 o'clock, you still think about it. It's a very nasty stressor that is always there. It's preventable. What if you would go financially healthy? What if you go with a budget that is filled with 110%? So not only covered, but you have 10% extra for emergencies, or for a holiday, or you can buy your socks or your shirt or your jeans because you are able to do that. Stress is also contagious. Can you imagine a base full with people who walk around with financial stress? So not only you, there's the whole base with financial stress. Stress is contagious. What will happen? How would that base function? How will it look like? How would your conversations be? How do people walk around in the coffee corner? Is it still enjoyable? Very nasty stress. Now, YWAM is very focused on faith. And I'm not saying we have to replace it with wisdom. So I'm claiming 100% faith. I'm thinking and. I'm not thinking this or that. So I am with you guys. I agree, it is faith. But let us please add a little bit of wisdom. Water your faith with wisdom. These can be partners. They belong together. It's not either faith or wisdom, or wisdom is not unbelief. I had a person that we talked about it, and he confused wisdom with unbelief. So he was wrestling. Am I now in unbelief? Is this unbelief because I don't have faith for this or that? It's nothing to do with it. You can have faith and you can have wisdom at the same time, 100%. The same with truth and grace. It's both. It's and. And the moment we start to think in this or that, we might get in trouble. Wisdom is not unbelief. Now, I will show you an online resource. It's called the Relational Fundraising Course. It is from Terry Sherman. She's an American, lived in Holland for 40 years and discovered that many people have that financial stress. So as a base, every new staff, they have to do the fundraising course. It's 5 days and they're doing it right now next door. So if I had a walking camera, I could prove it. And Marcel is in it, just for you to know it. But she made it also as an online course. It's free. So it's www and then relationalfundraising.com. Google it, Terry Sherman, relational fundraising, and you can do the whole course by yourself. It is wonderful to do it together, maybe as a group or as a base, Maybe you can ask Terry to come if your base is in need. She travels around the world, has budget to have healthy bases. So that is a wonderful tool to give to people, to share it with people, because fundraising is not easy. You cannot just shake that out of your sleeve and say, oh, now I'm fundraising. You need some tools. You need some encouragement. She's also writing a book. So this year she's writing a book. It's called Beggar, Burden, or a Blessing. So fundraising, are you a beggar? Is it a burden, or is it actually a blessing? So she will do the writing course, and then the book will come out probably next year. About faith. I had an OMF leader because my wife was with OMF. She became a Christian in Thailand because of OMF. There was a leader, and he said, don't let your faith be a burden for others. Don't let your faith be a burden for others. So in the base in Chiang Rai, we had people coming over with a lot of faith. They said, yeah, I have faith that God will provide. But their faith became a burden for the base. The base needed to pay their return ticket. The base needed to provide food. The base needed to pay staff fees. The base needed to pay school fees. Then your faith is wonderful, but it became a huge burden for the base. And what if you have 10 people with that kind of faith? It's a lot of burden you have to carry. So yes, I learned a lot by giving, and it's wonderful if there is a lack and you see God provide by the whole body. That's wonderful. I mean, this is great. This is wonderful what you learn in YWAM. But if you're long-term, so it's not a short-term thing, please don't let your faith be a burden for others. Get your stuff together, prepare well, have support around you, have your budget met so that you are financially healthy. And hopefully, from that healthiness, you can give to others. Good. One reason, this is a good one to write down, one reason why people stop giving is a lack of communication. It's actually the #1 reason why people stop giving monthly, because you don't communicate. So as a member care person, we send out a newsletter many times to the missionaries. Please write your newsletter. Please make a video. Communicate what you're doing, why you're doing it. Communicate your calling. Share the why. Share the why. Because a lack of communication is the #1 reason why people stop supporting. Any questions on finances?
I don't really have a question, but when you said share the why, I thought if you're sharing the why constantly, you're also reminding yourself constantly.
Yes.
That why is staying in front of you, and that keeps you going.
That is such a good, awesome remark to share. Vision leaks. Vision leaks. So you have to be reminded, why am I doing it again? I need to remind myself, why am I here? Why am I doing this? It is such an energy booster. It helps so much. Thank you, Esther, for sharing that insight with us. Wonderful. Other questions or insights also from the staff, please. We're learning together.
No, I was just thinking, as I've shared a little bit, like a lot of my experience is, I think that one thing, not member care is prevention, restoration, and something else. But I do a lot of the restore, it's the aftermath, the ambulance. And so what in all of these things, which is like preparation and stuff, and maybe that's what we'll talk about tomorrow more with later. What would you say to like a missionary when they're in the recovery phase of like, okay, you've never had support, or you've never had a team, or you have forgotten, or maybe not necessarily forgotten your vision, but just like they don't have it together, I guess you could say. Where would they start? Where it's overwhelming to say like, oh, you got to do this, and like get a support team and get a leadership, and then like go and get a course, and that's sometimes just completely overwhelming. So what would you suggest would be the first step?
Yeah, it's very simple. It's very difficult to do. Stop. stop. Yeah. And then you go back, and it's very difficult for people to stop. But stop, look at your experiences and evaluate it. So you evaluate your experience, and then you figure out, oh my goodness, this is not going anywhere. But actually, your stopping is such a blessing. It's you can see it as a, you know, like a bow and arrow. I go backwards now. You think, oh no, oh no, oh no, I'm going backwards. And then you let go. Bam! And you're sharp again. You're healthy. You're efficient. You're there again. You have your calling back. You have your life back. You're close with God. You're close with people. You clean up your mess. The conflicts are resolved. What would happen? There's passion again. And there people can go. So it's called investing. But investing is always for the future. But people don't invest, and they keep on going. And they are going with a car with no gas in it, until it stops, and then there's, yeah, it's the consequences are terrible, and I get these consequences in my office most of the time. They need to stop.
That's good.
Yeah.
Can I add just a thought here to your question, Gillian? I agree, it's about stopping, and I think sometimes this can feel like I failed, I didn't make it. But actually, it's about re-evaluating, and then from the lessons learned, start out in a better way for your own benefit, and most probably for the benefit of people you will walk alongside. I like what you said, Gillian, in an earlier comment. You said, this is about being kind and gentle. And I think to stop, to evaluate, and to restart can be so kind and gentle, and it will impact how you do ministry afterwards.
Yeah, thank you for adding to that. Yeah, and I think if I know your heart, Gillian, for what you're sharing, I think you would do it very gentle. Because there is shame, and there's guilt, and there's self-condemnation, or maybe the fear that other people condemn them, or I did something wrong. So as a member care provider, you keep on encouraging. They did nothing wrong. It's just life that happened to them. So you normalize the situation. Let them verbalize. Let them verbalize. Don't judge. Don't judge. Just let them verbalize it. And then you normalize the such situation. You did nothing wrong. In your situation, this is a normal response. And then they realize, okay, something needs to change. And then you walk with them. And then you see them grow as a flower. It's wonderful to see things that are completely almost dead, you think. And in a year, oh, that's such a joy. And a life comes back, and calling comes back, and passion comes back. But it takes time. Yeah, it takes time. Dick will share about it. He experienced this himself, and he will share about re-entry and his journey, I assume. But he's from our office, so I think he will share it. But great, yeah. Any other questions?
Well, I just wanted to a little bit of a addition to the fundraising situation. Can you guys hear me? 1 second. I'm just trying to do my mic. So what I realized also as a member care provider, you also need to be in tune with your leadership. So if you're recommending some kind of a budget, always try to do that together with the leadership, because otherwise you sometimes get this, two ways, like you were saying, Ryan. It could be faith only, and if that's a main thing in the base where you are serving or where you are being sent from, that might be a conflicting situation. So, yeah, just a little addition.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, in our base, everybody's on board. Singapore, the same. They have so much experience with people coming with faith, so they had some policies in their base. And you need to have a certain amount to come. And if you have faith that God provides you while you're there, you can also have faith that God provides it before you go there. It's the same faith. So I would say that will be wisdom.
Someone just told me a couple of times ago that it's good to have different sources of support, financial support, like maybe not just the home church, but also friends and family. And they said something about 5 different sources. So just in case one support source stops, you still have 4 others So yeah, just to consider, yeah, or maybe having a bit of savings or a little small job on the side, like teaching English or something, depending on whether you can. And so 5 different sources of financial support.
Yeah, yeah, great. Yeah. And also it's better to have 200 people giving you 10 euros than one person giving you 200, because if that person stops, your whole financially goes there. In Indonesia, for example, the rupiah, the worth was less, so 20% of my budget went down. So also on the field, you need to raise support, or life happens. I got married, now I have to provide also for my wife. Is different. So your fundraising will never stop. Keep on working on it. Good. I'm just thinking, should I go a little bit about transition, and then I would like to give you an assignment, but maybe you have seen this one. This is about transition. Maybe you saw a model written, but this is very simple, a simple drawing, but it helps you a lot. In YWAM, YWAM can also stand for you will always move. You will always move. Move position. I was a single, and then I became a married man. If you have children, there's a transition. I moved from Indonesia to Thailand. That's a transition. I was in soccer ministry, and now I'm in member care. It's a transition. I was a younger guy, and now I become older. That is a transition. A lot of transitions in life. So the first picture is that you are in the picture. It's called involvement. So that is the number one. You are involved. They know your name. They know what you can do. People can ask you questions because you are known. And then suddenly you come in phase 2, which is the leaving phase. You are leaving everything behind because you're moving to another place. This is very difficult. And on the other hand, also very exciting, because you go to this new place, there's excitement. On the other hand, you are letting go, and there's hurt, and there's pain. You might not even realize it yet, but you have to leave people behind. I saw my mom crying when I left. Oh man, that hurts. I could not go there on Sunday because I'm in Indonesia, and I would see her in 2 years. Leaving hurts. The change, what is the hurt in there, because you lost something. The loss is why it makes it painful. And then you come in number 3, it's called chaos. That is actually transition. You're not part of that one group, and you're not part of that other group yet. You are sort of hanging above it. Like, do they know me? Am I known here? Do they know my name? Should I take action or not? It's a very difficult phase. Your emotions go up and down. Ooh, it can be an emotional roller coaster. And then you are entering this new place. You have to take a risk. People do not know you, but you have to make yourself known. You have to take initiative. Here there can be a lot of losses that are coming up. You can feel depressed. You can miss home, homesick, because I wish I was in Holland again. All these feelings are very normal. And then hopefully you come into the involvement stage again. After a couple of years, if you feel involvement again, that is wonderful. The sad part is that many YWAMers, they are staying in 2, 3, and 4. They never involve again. And when they go back, they are not involved because they left so long. It takes about 2 years to be really involved again. If you're in transition, if your emotions go up and down, it's very normal. Nothing wrong with you. You're just in transition. I hope that helps. Yeah. Now, in the transition, there's a lot of things that you need to arrange. I will share a couple of things, and then we go into an assignment. But practically, you have to do a lot of things in your leaving stage. When you leave, in my case, Holland, there's a lot of things that I have to do. I have to sign out of the Netherlands, and that means that I need to have different insurances. I cannot stay in the Dutch insurance because I'm leaving the Netherlands. You need a visa for the country that you are going to. Then you have to have insurance. And what do you insure? Do you only for your health, or do you do for accidents or anything? You need to make choices. You need to learn a new language. Actually, you should save for pension. If you've not saved for pension, you will pay later. And it's a bitter pill to swallow. It's not easy. Please have a budget with your pension in it, because yeah, think about it, please. And also share this. Let them save for their pension. It's very, very important. You need to make a budget. What do you need? Be realistic. Plan in things that you really need. Think about it, or ask for help. What kind of budget do you need? You need to arrange bank stuff, schooling for your children. It's a medication. All these things are coming to a plate, which the missionary, if they are leaving, they don't think about these stuff. So you as a member care can help them. Did you think of your visa? Do you know how much stress that gives you? Walk alongside, show support. Now I'm making a checklist, and I'm doing this together with Greg Griffin from YWAM Next Step. So hopefully next year, I can give it to all nations, a checklist for missionaries, how they get ready. It's going to be digital. You can adjust it for your country, because the things for Holland are different than the people who are living in the US or Canada or Mexico or wherever you're from. So you can adjust it to your own country. But it would be very helpful to have a checklist. And then as a member care worker, you walk alongside. You don't do this in one time. I did it before, and then it's overwhelming, and the missionary wants to give up. Only challenges, no support. So do it over a sessions of 6, 7, 8 sessions, and you walk alongside. With Marcel, I've been walking already maybe 12 times, and my colleagues as well. And we walk alongside with all the steps. Okay, the last 15 minutes, I would like you to go into a small group. And I want you to make sort of a checklist or a framework that you can practically use when you're in member care. So what questions do you ask? What things do you need to have in place so that this missionary is healthy, so that they can make this jump? A faith jump, yes, but that they make it. So it's, yeah, missionary tools, because, yeah, let's do mission together. Go prepared, stay effective, and finish well. Go prepared, stay effective, and finish well. Now, to have a clear picture, you can make it for Seth and Lisette and Yanoa. They are already in Sicilia. So they work there now. They work with the ministry for refugees. But think about it. Sicilia is Italy. They work with refugees. Maybe they need to learn 2 languages, maybe Arabic, maybe another language, and Italian, because they also need to do groceries. So think of these things. Marcel was a single guy. Now we have Yanoa. What are the needs of a child? It's different. What are the needs of a parent? It's different as well, because they are in transition. They first were single, now they are a couple, and now they have children. So think about these things and make up a plan in roughly 15 minutes. What could you do as a member care worker?
That we need to think about those, but be careful not pushing it to everybody. We're in different positions, all of us. And also that we have those difficult, we talked about this also in the group, how are the systems in different countries, like in Sweden. If you want a better pension in Sweden, you have to have an income. If you're with YWAM, you shouldn't have an income, which means that there's some problems here.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Good. Thank you for sharing, Peter. And I agree. And it's that balance, and it's sometimes difficult to seek. Yeah. But thank you, Peter. Gillian.
I think for my situation and for people that I deal with, I will take away probably that you have to water faith with wisdom. And that was, yeah, that's probably a really good takeaway for me. And yeah, and that we can always try again. that there's grace,
Yeah.
that the people that, get in when they're young and don't know what the heck they're doing. But there's always grace, and there's a reason for things, that God is not setting us up for failure, but he is gracious and he knows us really well. And I think a lot of times when I talked with people and they're like, oh, I just didn't know this. Like, why did God set me up for this? I'm like, you didn't know, but God knew you, and he leads us like a shepherd, even if it seems really scary, like you're walking down a cliff face and everyone's going down this easy grassy slope and you're on the cliff face trying to navigate your way down. And he's like, no, it's okay. Like, I'm still with you here, and there's grace, and we can try again, and we try again tomorrow, and we try again after that. So that's what I take away.
Amen. Amen. I hope I created some kind of need for YWAM, and that we think about it. And yeah, I hope it was helpful, practical, and relevant for you guys, for your own life, but also the ones you're meeting every day, or the ones that are called to go. Yeah, so thank you for paying such a good attention and asking questions and being involved. I really appreciate it. And God bless you. Give it over to Heidi.
Ryan, thank you very much for all your so practical and helpful input. I love your catchy phrases, like too valuable to lose, or the pictures you have, or just Gillian mentioned, water face with wisdom.
Yeah.
They carry so important insights in such a catchy way that we can remember them. And when I listen to you, I hear that you speak out of experience. And just hearing you sharing, for me, it creates a perspective of hope and of encouragement, because it makes it so tangible, how we can walk alongside people and help them to go well prepared, to start off well. So thank you very much for sharing your lessons learned and what you do every day. Very helpful. A big thank you to all of you for engaging. It's so encouraging to hear your inputs. And once more, I wish we would be together and now would be able to have a cup of coffee. I know that you have all very valuable thoughts and insights to that as well. Ryan will put together a paper with the websites and the books he spoke about, so you can refer to them later. And tomorrow, we will jump towards the end of the timeline, and we will have Dick sharing with us about re-entry. I'm sure looking forward to that. To all of you, have a good and refreshing evening, and we're looking forward to connect with you tomorrow again, 2 o'clock in the afternoon. Enjoy your evening and see you tomorrow. Bye-bye.